Am I alive yet?
I hope everybody's alive. Good evening, afternoon, morning, midnight, lunchtime, whatever it is when you're watching this. Hope wherever you are, it is a good time. Hello. Oh, my hair getting a little wild here. Stretch it out. The joys of getting older, huh? All right. I hope everybody's weekend was good. If not, I hope your week gets better before your next weekend. Works. We're gonna get into just a few things from the weekend. One big news to some. I mean, not really to me, but WWE had I think it's a pay-per-view. If it's on Netflix, I mean, is it still considered a pay-per-view anymore? Is it more of a like an event? I don't know. Anyways, they had a big show, a really big show, and the thing on that, we'll talk about that with John Cena. We'll talk about the Oscars a little bit, which I'll be honest with you, I know nothing about the majority of the people. I just watched a little bit of it for Conan. And then we'll get into some news that broke today regarding the ACC and the pending lawsuit that Florida State and Clemson had against them. But let's get into it. So, if you don't know, this past weekend, if you're not a wrestling individual, I mean that depends. John Cena turned heel. Blew some people's minds. So he had there's a elimination chamber. That's what it was. He won the match, which gives him, I guess, the puts him in play for the championship. I'm not really sure how it goes because I thought the Royal Rumble winner gets to choose that, but I don't know. But anyways, so after the match, Cody comes out and The Rock comes out, and him and The Rock's trying to buy off Cody. And Cody basically says "F you" to him, which when that was done in AEW, when Christian did it to Edge, everybody talked about how just vulgar and ridiculous that was. But Cody does it, and it's the greatest thing ever. It's the double standards of wrestling fans. So as you see, and John Cena turns heel, kicks Cody into clusters, and is Rock's guy, whatever that may be.
Saturday night at the Eliminate.
And I guess ESPN did a whole thing about it. Again, I mean, a lot of people were going in on this, saying it was the best thing to ever happen regarding heel wise. Which, I mean, we got to slow down on that. I mean, it was a good heel turn, but I'll tell you the truth. I mean, it's been expected for about 20 years or so. Again, I kind of stopped paying attention to wrestling after WCW was bought out, and probably right around when that aggression era started. I just lost interest in it. And I believe that John Cena was like a heel in the beginning of his career. It was like the rapper kind of heel. I could be wrong on that, but I believe he was. So it's not like he hasn't ever been heel before. But for the last 15, 18 years, whatever it was, he's been on that run as the baby face. And there was always talks of him turning heel, but it never happened. This is he's saying this is his last year before he retires, which for the last 4 or 5 years, he's been in and out doing movies and stuff. So he hasn't really been there. So yeah, it's his last year. I think he has until December maybe, and he's calling it a career. See, a lot of people were excited about this. It didn't really do anything for me, and I mean that could have to do with a lot of possibilities. One, there's been so many heel turns in the last 20 years. I mean, it's not that big of a thing anymore. It's just okay, you know. I mean, honestly, I think the biggest heel turn was Hogan with in WCW when he turned and or when he went heel and became the NWO's leader and basically took it on from there. Because that character, that particular character, that was just unheard of or unseen of at that time. And since then, I mean, it's just heel turns are great. You need them. But it's like, what was it with that, the Shield a couple, what, about 10 years ago or so when, I forget his name right now. I have his face. Anyways, when they had the heel turn on there and it was just, supposedly was shocking. But at the same time, it's like tag teams, different groups, factions, at some point, especially if they're babyface, somebody's going to turn because you can only run a faction or a tag team so long before it just wears out or before they just need to spin off and try to get what they can out of it. So it's again, maybe to me it's just I've seen so many heel turns over the years that even seeing this one was just like okay. Okay. It's just it's whatever. And there's a lot of questions as to where do they go from this. I know I'm probably pissing a lot of people off because I'm not super excited about this, and people are. Which hey, if you're excited, this excites you, be happy for it. I mean, I'm not telling you not to be. It's just for me. It just doesn't do anything for me. Um, but where do they go from this? I mean, because obviously Cena's not going to retire a heel, which I mean, I guess that's what they're going for. You make him heel, so when the time comes for him to do the Lord Vader turn on the Emperor and throw him down the chute. And I mean, that's basically let's put it that way. That's basically where it's going now. It's like you have Anakin, Luke, and the Emperor. Rock's the Emperor. John Cena is Vader, and Cody Rhodes is Luke. And you're gonna have at some point where the Emperor, where Vader and Luke are going to be fighting. And it's going to come down to where the Emperor steps in and wants Luke, which is Cody, to destroy Cena, who is Vader, and join the Emperor by his side. Cody's not going to do it. He's going to throw the belt down or whatever it may be. And the Emperor is going to go in on him and start beating the crap out of him. And then what are you going to do? You're going to have Cena look at it, look at the belt, look at the Rock, look at the belt. He's going to stand up. He's going to beat the crap out of the Rock to bring his baby face back, end his career, helping Cody stop or whatever, stop the beating that he's getting from the Rock, from the Emperor, and he'll retire as his last thing that he did was go babyface on the Rock as he should have been, as he has done his whole career. Beat the crap out of the Rock and retire that way. I mean that's just that's the way it's going to go. Which okay, that's fine, but again, I mean, the one point about, I mean, not just WWE but AEW and whatnot is you start bringing in these part timers or these old guys that have been around for 20, 30 years on some level, and it's to go after the nostalgic factor, which I get, because it brings the numbers and it brings people in to watch for that time period. But you have both groups, both fans, of each companies that'll complain about how the other one does nothing but bring old timers back and push them when they have all this young talent around them. And here you go, you have a bunch of young talent around you in a WWE. And instead of focusing on that and trying to set up future storylines or try to see who you have now that could possibly be a contender for that, you have to bring in guys that are either out or on their way out and put them in your biggest storyline, which I don't even know if it's a real storyline, to pump up your WrestleMania. Because, I mean, really nobody was excited for WrestleMania after Royal Rumble. It was just okay. I mean, it was one of those. Honestly, I think if you would have had Cena win the Royal Rumble and then had this whole thing happen here, would have made more sense than not have him win and then have him win the Elimination Chamber. Which again, I don't know if the Elimination Chamber actually gets you a shot at the title. I could be wrong. It's been a very long time since I paid attention. But yeah, what is the outcome of this? So he turns heel. He's going to go to WrestleMania. Are you going to have him win the belt just so he now holds the record over Ric Flair? And then you're going to have a rematch of him and Cody at some point, his last match or whatever, and do the whole Vader Emperor Luke thing. I don't. I mean, to me, that just seems 8 months of. And again, I mean, I think he's actually filming a movie right now, so it's not like he's going to show up every week on their television shows, Raw and SmackDown or whatever, and get this hyped up. I think you could have. I mean, I don't know though. Maybe they realized they didn't have a good storyline with. You can't really do the Roman thing. You can't do the bloodline stuff because that stuff has fizzled out. You can't do Owens because that stuff has fizzled out. You can't do Punk because, I mean, how good of a match can Punk really give you, at this point that would suffice the amount of, I guess, publicity you'd get from this. But I don't know, man. I think long term wise, it's just gonna hurt them more, or maybe they're just doing this because they have other guys coming in. Because I mean, you had AEW release a lot of those individuals who the WWE obviously will pick up, and maybe they'll, that'll be the way to interpret it in. But yeah, to me, I have more questions than I do answers on this one, and who knows, maybe it plays itself out. You give it time, it always plays itself out, and you realize, okay, that was a decent idea, that was a good idea, but yeah, and there's some talks that The Rock signaled, because he'd been holding three fingers up and then he went to two with the cut. And so maybe there's another individual out there. I don't know. But to me, I don't see in this how you bring people to back Cody on this, because that just makes it worse. It's like, but then why weren't they helping him at this point? To me, you have to run this story where it's Cody by himself. And you have to do it that way. You have to have him handle this on his own. He cannot have people coming to his aid because it just makes him look soft. It makes it look like every time he gets in trouble, you need somebody to come and save him. He has to do this alone. He can't have Arn Anderson out there. He can't have Ric Flair having a friggin' heart attack out there trying to help. I mean, you can't have any of these other guys come out and help him. You have to have this just him, Cena, and The Rock. And I know some people are talking about Stone Cold, should show up at WrestleMania, and to make up for last year. Which again, I mean, you're just going for pops there. It doesn't really do anything for the storyline. I think you have to build this up to where you have Cena win the belt at WrestleMania, and they kick the living crap out of Cody again, and then you have whatever last match for Cena, whenever that is, whatever you have it against Cody, and you do the Return of the Jedi scene where the ending where Vader decides to turn his back on the Emperor and realize the good in him, and helps Cody, and Cody wins the belt, and then Cena goes off into the winds, movie career, whatever it may be. But I don't know. I mean, it's just, I don't see, besides just a nostalgic pop, yeah, I don't know. And this guy here is really hyping it up, saying it's had over 104 million views on all of WWE's social platforms. So I'll be honest with this guy, Elite Rockers, you can't trust social platform numbers because there's a lot of bots and there's a lot of fake profiles and ways to jack numbers up on these things. So to promote social platform numbers, it's not a big win. I mean, you probably have to cut that down to 4 million, 10 million views, somewhere around there. I mean, there's just a lot of fake and number pumping that goes into these socials that you just can't believe. Um, so yeah, here you just have him beating the crap out of Cody. I don't want to get hit with a copyright on that, but I don't know, man. Again, if you're a wrestling fan and this gets you off and it's great and you're loving it, hey, I'm happy for you. Enjoy this ride with them. I hope it ends as good as it started. I hope the storyline or whatever they're going for makes sense for you and you love it. But for me personally, I mean, you could have done other ways to hype this up or make this run, but it is what it is. So moving on to the Oscars. I don't know how many of you all watch the Oscars. I mean, we won't find out till today or tomorrow what the numbers were. It was hosted by Conan O'Brien. For those of you that don't know, Conan, I can't find him on here. That's fantastic. Conan, late night talk show host, where there's some people that know Conan, and that's the younger generation that know Conan from his TBS time, with his show on there, which was great, was funny, it was still good. And then there was people like me that knew Conan from, I'm not even going to say from The Simpsons, because unless you really paid attention to the writers and the producers of The Simpsons, you didn't know unless I said something about it. From his show when he first went on the Late Show after Letterman left NBC and Conan took over, which that was at his prime. If you could ever find, I mean, you just honestly, you just had to be there for that, because Conan from when he first, it was probably 93 or 94 to about 2000. Oh God, that show was just perfection. And it was because it was nothing huge at that time. It was more of an underground and of a I don't want to say nuisance, but just, it was one of those, like, if you weren't a cool kid, or if you were cool kids, you weren't watching it. It was like for I don't want to say like the punk kids. I can't even think of the term right now. It was basically for people that just loved Conan, that wanted to stay late and watch, and that show was great. So he got to host it, and he did a good job. I know some people got upset about him making fun of Trump with the Russian thing, which that didn't bother me. That made me laugh. I mean, it is what it is. He did this skit with Sandler, of course. And I saw some people saying this was a shot at Trump for making fun of Zelensky dressing. No, this is making fun of Sandler, because I don't know if you know, but Sandler dresses like a bum wherever he goes. So this was Conan picking him out in the crowd and asking him why he wasn't dressed.
What's going on, man?
Adam, what are you wearing?
What are you doing right now?
I'm asking you what you're wearing.
Nobody even thought about what I was wearing till you brought it up.
You're dressed like a guy playing video poker at 2 a.m., Adam.
And you know what, Conan? I like the way I look, because I'm a good person. I don't care about what I wear or what I don't wear. Did my snazzy gym shorts and fluffy sweatshirt offend you so much that you had to mock me in front of my peers?
Hey, I'm sorry. Adam, I apologize.
I'm going. I'm gonna go off. I go. Yeah, I'm leaving. I have to. It's not you. No, it's not you. It's him. He's the one. You caused this. But
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You are all welcome to join me for a game of 5-on-5 basketball at Veteran Park tonight. Midnight tip-off. The guy from Nostarafu. Where is he? He's on my team. One more thing.
So, yeah, I mean, I thought Conan did good. I didn't know anything about any of these movies. I'm not going to lie. I didn't know anything about, I know about some of the people that won some Oscars. Adrian Brody, he won after basically disappearing from Hollywood in the last 10 years, making a lot of bad decisions, with his career and out of his career as far as some of the things he said and done. Um, let's see if we can find something better with more. Um, so he won again, which kind of rejuvenated his career, which is fantastic. But I'm sure a lot of people were upset that Tiffany Chalamet didn't win. But I mean, dude's young. If he gets the opportunity, he'll be back up there again. Um, I know there's a lot of people that were really upset with the winners as far as the different movies and stuff this year, and actors and actresses that were going on. But let's be honest. I mean, this was a down year, movie wise, and that happens sometimes. Every now and then, you just have a year of movies that are just they're all right. I mean, you might have one good one out of the 10 the 10 now that they allow for best picture, which it needs to be dropped down to like 7. Make it the Magnificent 7. um and it was one of those years where you had a lot of good movies, um a lot of great, a lot of good actors, but you didn't have a great movie. You maybe had one great actor out of all this, but for the most part it was just a down year. So I mean, people are going to be upset or complain about things, or I'm sure there's going to be some people that talk about the ratings being bad. Well, it's being because they try to make it a political thing that, oh, Hollywood with Trump, that's why nobody's watching. No, it's because the movie sucked this year. There just wasn't anything nobody cared to watch. We're at a point now where you just don't recognize, at least for me, especially at my age at 43, I just don't recognize actors like maybe I did 10, 20 years ago, and when I was a teenager in the 90s. It's not there. I mean, this younger group, which, I mean, it says a lot about movies too, where people just aren't going to the theater anymore. Um, it just, you're losing a generation, you're losing 2 generations, maybe 3, because they're aging out, right? And the younger generations that would normally fill in and would normally pay attention to that aren't watching movies anymore. They're not going to the theaters. They're not understanding the relevance of stories or acting. It's more just about getting publicity or getting, doing things to get views instead of anything. So I don't know. I just think it'll be interesting, depending on what happens with streaming services and depending on what happened with, of course, Zoe Salon won. There's a lot of people saying that she shouldn't have won because that movie was straight trash. She won the Oscar for a supporting actress. I believe that's what Conan had to say here.
Halfway through the show, which means it's time for Kendrick Lamar to come out and call Drake a pedophile. Don't worry, I'm lawyered up.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, like I said, I watched a little bit of it because I wanted to see Conan. I thought he did a good job, especially for the year that they had, which is no movies. I wanted to see what he had to say. For the most part, there wasn't anything too crazy. I didn't really pay attention. Daryl Hannah, showing her support for Ukraine. I didn't see anything crazy about that. I mean, she just, wants support for Ukraine. That's fine. You can be against it, but it was nothing too crazy. You had the one joke, and I don't know if I'll find that one joke. I swear to God, I thought this was Timothy Oliphant for a few times. I thought Guy Pearce was Timothy Oliphant. But yeah, I mean, down year, but just I think also these generations, these people are just they're not interested in movies or whatnot anymore. Okay, I will say this though: the way they do the introduce the nominations now, is that not the weirdest, kind of cringiest thing? It's like if people don't know, they used to do this thing where either supporting actress, supporting actress, supporting actor, best actor, best actress, movie, or whatever. They'd show a clip. They would say the name of the individual, and they'd show a clip of their movie, so you would see how they were acting in that particular scene or in that movie, or how that movie was, and then they would read the nomination. Now they have the presenter Downey Jr. was out there for Best Supporting Actor, and he basically stood up there and mentioned all five of the nominees and then talked about them, about either how he liked their performance or how he knew them personally or whatever. And it was the same thing with um the women's side and the movies. And it's just the weirdest thing. It's like you're standing up there. People already accuse Hollywood of really just blowing each other, and then here you go on the Oscars. You have somebody go up there and basically perform public fellatio on five people for an award that a lot of people don't care for. So I don't know why or who thought of that idea, but they need to go back and just showing the clips. Just show like a 10-second clip, and let's get away from people explaining why they thought it was so great that they were nominated or whatever they should have been nominated. Let's get away from that, because that was somewhat weird. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like I'm sorry, I don't know who she is. I heard like the movie that she was in was not the greatest movie either, about a sex worker. I don't know. I guess they recognize. I don't.
Really incredible. Thank you, Neon, Film Nation, Universal. Thank you to my incredible family, my mom and my dad and my sister and my little brother and my twin brother, Miles. Thank you for being my best friend, not that you have a choice. Thank you, Sean Baker, Sammy Kwan, Alex Coco, Drew Daniels, Yura, Mark, Vache, Karin. Thank you, Ann Woodward, Rachel Arlick, Nikki Fioravante, Rich, Dean, Dan, Don, Fareed Ward. Thank you, Brighton Beach, for lending us your beautiful backdrop and incredible community. Also, thank you to Kennedy Schneider. Thank you to our incredible consultants. I also just want to again recognize and honor the sex worker community. I will.
The sex worker community gets a shout out. That's fantastic. Way to go, hookers. Way to go, whores. Hey, nothing against you, but I think there's better times to congratulate the sex working community. Way to go, strippers. Way to go. I mean, nothing against you. I love ladies, and especially when you're naked, but what a wild thanks. But all right. Either way, I mean, yeah, we're living in the end times. Holy shit. Those were the Oscars. I mean, nothing spectacular. I'm sure, there's people today that are making everything political about it. I could care less. I mean, when the ratings come out, I'm sure people will claim victory, that Trump this, Trump that, whatever. I honestly think it was just, honestly, I don't think anybody besides the people that voted for these movies actually saw those movies. So, I mean, besides maybe Wicked, because I'm sure a lot of people went to see Wicked. But I think it was just a bad year for movies, unfortunately. And next year should be better, but we'll see. All right, well, enough with a lot of the fake stuff. Let's get to what really affects things, especially around here. I am from Tallahassee. That is Florida State country. That is also ACC country. For those of you that don't know, for the last couple years, Florida State has turned their nose up to the ACC and decided you guys are a bunch of assholes and we want to leave your conference. The ACC, in response, said, we'll turn our nose up to you. You guys are a bunch of assholes and you are stuck in our ironclad contract. Suck it. So, Florida State decided, we'll take you to court, which they did. Now, when Florida State did this, they caught hell from the college football community, from everybody. Florida State's a bunch of cheapskates. They're trying to destroy college football. You should live up to your contract. You should this or that. can't believe they're trying to destroy a conference, this and that. But yet, when the SEC and the Big Ten took Texas and Oklahoma and then raided the Pac-12, nobody cared then. That was seen as, that's awesome for college football. Look what we're doing. We're making it a great sport. To the point that they didn't care that the Pac-12 folded. Who cares about the Pac-12 and all the history there? We got 4 new teams in the Big Ten. 2 of the biggest Big 12 teams in Texas and Oklahoma, their biggest moneymakers, leave and go to the SEC, basically dooming that conference. Nobody cared then, but the minute Florida State wants to leave the ACC because they see what's happening in the future, they understand what's going on in college football, and they're looking at the ACC and realizing the ACC does not give a damn about what's going on in the future. They have no foresight. Florida State looks at it and sees that even teams like Vanderbilt, the bottom of the SEC, are going to get $40 to $50 million, if not more, a year. Whereas the winner of the ACC conference may get $20 million. May get $20 million. And we're in a money game now, folks. The minute Texas and Oklahoma bolted, and the minute the Big Ten invaded the Pac-12, was the minute conferences died in college football. And if you can't realize that, and if you think and are just stuck on that it's Florida State that caused this problem, you are an idiot. And I have no problem calling you that. You are a double dog idiot. It's going to 2 conferences. It was going towards 2 conferences at that point. Florida State realized that and decided, you know what? We need to get the hell up out of this sorry-ass conference because they're doing nothing for us and they have no future, and we need to jump into one of these. And they took hell for it. So for the last year, it's been going in and out of court. Clemson decided to jump on. There were talks that North Carolina wanted to jump on the lawsuit, but they have to go through their state representatives and all this nonsense. What a complete joke that was. And they basically sat back because they wanted to see what would happen. They're a bunch of you could say the word, they're a bunch of cats. We'll start to say with the P word. They didn't want to jump in because they didn't want to look like they were turning their back on the ACC. And basically they wanted to sit back and wait and see what happens. Well, story broke today that Florida State, Clemson, and the ACC should have a settlement out tomorrow. That being Tuesday. So Friday, before we went into the weekend, Friday or Thursday, the Florida Supreme Court said that they're not going to drop Florida State's argument with the ACC, and the ACC has no power in that, which basically is forcing the ACC to have to make a deal. So the settlement, what it's going to be, is that Clemson and Florida State will get more money at the end of the year. They'll get more money because they bring in more views, they bring in more publicity to the ACC. Which, okay, that's great. That's fantastic. They're going to get more money for a year. Still not SEC or Big Ten money, but it's 10, 15, 20 million more a year, whatever it may be. But the big thing, 2 big things actually on that are the ACC then agreed to that in 2029 and 2030, the buyout would drop down to 100 million. Because I think right now it's like 500 million. So the buyout would drop down to 100 million. That right there, even though Florida State and Clemson would have to stay in the conference for another 4 years, basically is a funeral march to the end of the ACC. Because the minute that clock ticks to where they only have to pay $100 million to bolt, Florida State and Clemson, right when that clock hits at midnight, are going to send their money over, $100 million, whatever it is, and they're bolting the ACC. Which will then, you'll have UNC, Virginia follow. You'll then have Miami, Louisville, and a few of those others. They'll leave as well. Where they all end up, who knows? But this is the end of the ACC. Now, I did see some reports out there that, and I'll have to see if I can find this, is that starting Tuesday, and I could be completely wrong about this, but I'll have to find, I don't know where this was, that starting Tuesday, there is a $200 million buyout for the ACC teams. Which, if that's the case, if there is a possibility that for $200 million they could get out, you will see Clemson and Florida State within a year or two paying that $200 million and getting the hell out. Don't know if that's the case. We'll find out tomorrow. But there were some reports out there that was the case with this. That okay, when the lawsuit started, the ACC argued that there was no number a school could pay out for the TV right. As of tomorrow, there is a number, and it goes down every year. Okay, so that's what they're talking about. So here it is. And I think my camera's in the way. Let me try to zoom this. I can't. Let me pull this up for you guys. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay, now there will be a number one source. On 3, a school could pay $200 million to leave the ACC once the settlement goes through Tuesday. That figure falls well below the $100 million should a school exit. Okay, so there you go. So from on 3, they're stating that, and this is from Andy Staples, who was a pretty. I mean, is he from on 3? So I mean, he might be from on 3. That here you go. So. A source tells Andy Staples a school could pay $200 million and leave the ACC once the settlement goes through Tuesday. So you might have these schools leave.
Now there is a number. So I've made some phone calls. I've talked to some people. The number I've been told, if you wanted to do it right now, if you wanted to exit the ACC right now, is about $200 million. That's pretty expensive. Probably too rich for everybody involved. But the number, if you were wanting to exit after the 2029-2030 school year, is below $100 million. Now, what is important about that particular date, Pete?
So that timing lines up specifically with when the Big Ten television deal expires, allowing there to be more conference realignment. And, more importantly, Andy, it sets the timeline now for when schools can leave the ACC, and it gives them the time to get these dollars together to leave.
Okay, so see, that's some funny lineup. That at the time that you can pay out to leave the ACC is when the Big Ten and maybe even the ACC at the time have their talks to redo their contracts with their networks, which if you can, as a Big Ten or SEC, saying, hey, we're not only bringing our schools, but we're also going to bring in these schools. So this is what our product's going to be. You have a better bargaining chip on your side. There is going to be a wholesale bidding war for these teams if they stay in until that time period. Which again, do not be shocked. I still would not be shocked if Clemson and Florida State just decide $200 million is not that bad. Let's just get the hell out now. Find one of these conferences to get us in it and make our money back and go. Safe money is probably like what they're saying, that they wait until that 2029, 2030 season. And then the bidding war will start, not just only for them to join a particular conference, but for the contracts, for television contracts, to be redone. The ACC and the fact that all these other schools were so stupid and the fans of these schools were so stupid to not see this is what is very irritating about this. The minute the SEC and then the Big Ten, which remember, the Big Ten was in the alliance with us, with the Pac-12 at that time, the minute they ran and grabbed schools, the ACC should have gone through the Big 12 and ate up as many schools as they could have to join their school. or merged with them and been the big ACC, whatever you want to call it. But the commissioner at that, and I believe it was still Jim Phillips, it was one of these, well, we have to run on honor and we have to run on the conference sakes and all this, and didn't want to do that because he didn't want to be known for destroying another conference, even though it's going to happen anyways. So instead of doing nothing and sitting and waiting, the ACC put the nail in their coffin, and this is the hammer hitting it on its head. And all those North Carolina people, there's a lot of podcasts out there that just crapped on Florida State for the last 2 years. Suck it, you morons. You wanted to save a conference that nobody gave a damn about. You wanted to save a conference that was great during the 80s and 90s for basketball. And nobody cares about now. Nobody. Football is the money winner, is the breadwinner. And you kept pushing this tobacco rolled bullcrap, and the ACC is in our veins nonsense when it is about money, moolah, dinero, cashish. It is not about loyalty to a conference that is dead on arrival, okay? The fact that you guys could not get it through your numbskull brains and understand what was going on and sit there and play this, well, Florida State is such a pansy team. Look at that. Your own school was waiting. UNC was waiting to see what would happen with this so then they can jump on. They're just vultures waiting for it to happen. They were pansies. You North Carolina schools are a bunch of pansies. The fact that you didn't stand up and just had Florida State and then Clemson be the 300 to try to take these arrows while you sat back and tried to play this stupid game. Oh man, it pisses me off with those fans because they want to play this wine and cheese crowd. We're classier than them. I can't believe that they're trying to destroy the ACC and college football. The ACC was dead. The minute the SEC took took Texas and Oklahoma was the minute the ACC died. The minute the Big Ten then blew up the alliance and ended the Pac-12 was when the ACC died. And the fact that you numbskulls could not get that through your head and see that and understand that is why you are where you are. If the ACC would have been smart and would have seen what was going on, they would have said, okay, you know what? Let's let them out of the con. Florida State, Clemson, go do your thing. $100 million, get the hell out of here. Any other schools that want to go, that's fine. And then they should have jumped on the bandwagon with the Big 12 and moshed together. They should have just let it go because now you are allowing the schools 4 years to build up $100 million or less from what they were saying there to buy themselves out and end your conference in one night. Congratulations, ACC fans. You're a bunch of effing morons. You could have saved your conference by just letting the whiny bitches, Florida State and Clemson, go. You could have let us gone our way and done our thing. You would still have a conference, but now you're going to have nothing. You know what you're going to have? You're going to have all these teams leave, and you're going to be stuck with trying to fill it in with former American conference teams, former Big East conference teams, and South Florida, and your conference is going to be nada. It's going to be nothing. It's going to be a JV league. All because you couldn't see the writing on the wall. I mean, it's all you did was just bash your heads against a damn wall. The ACC is great. The ACC is great. The ACC is great. Morons. Should have just let them go. But that's why the ACC is so bad. That's why the entire conference is complete trash, is because they don't see the future. They only see, we should stay loyal. Money. People stay loyal to one thing, and it's the color green. And your commissioner and your conference blew themselves because they're idiots. God, I could go on this for a while. So it'll be done. In 5 years, the ACC is going to be a microcosm of what it is, if there's anything left at that point. It's just going to be gone. Again, if the ACC was smart, they would tell Florida State and Clemson, just go ahead and leave. $100 million, get the hell out. They would then go to the Big 12 and go, you know what? Hombre, ¿qué pasa? Hey, mi amigo. Form the big ACC to keep Notre Dame, to keep UNC, to keep all these other schools and say, hey, look. Not only are we going to keep the East Coast, the Northeast, the Midwest with Notre Dame, but we're also gonna get Texas, we're gonna get Colorado, we're gonna get the Plain States, and we're gonna have this big, huge conference. But I bet they won't, because the ACC does not have foresight. They do not understand what college football or how it's a business now, and it's not about loyalty. This isn't respect, loyalty, and honor, whatever the hell Cena would say in his WWE run. It's about De Niro. And I just beg the ACC to see this and utilize it and go, you know what? Clemson, Florida State, $100 million, get the hell out of here. UNC, Notre Dame, Miami, listen to us. This is what we're going to do. This is our plan. We've been talking to the Big 12. We're going to combine big ACC is what we're going to be. And we're going to be, a whole country team, not just little conference here in the South, little conference here. No. We're going to have everything, but they won't. And all you ACC fanboys can suck it. That's all I have to say about that. God, I hope it dies. Stupid ass conference. Can't believe ungrateful sons of bitches. On that note, fun light note that is right there. We'll call it on that. We're about at the time anyways. Yeah. Hey. I know there might not have been a lot of positivity in that last little bit there, but hey, try to find the positives in life. Do what you can with that. Find that good earth and dig it, all right, baby? All right, till next time. Later.